Welcome to NAS Watch. Yahaya Bello emerged winner of the Kogi Central senatorial primaries for APC. And to violent primaries in some locations, especially in the FCT. Senate raises alarm over missing firearms. To Oyo State House, where they debate on demands made by terrorists. Most importantly, a conversation with Nigeria's finest lawmaker, Senator Yusuf Abubakar, who represented Taraba Central Senatorial District from 2015 to 2023. This is NAS Watch. I am Cynthia Agbo. Good evening, my constituents, like I always like to call you. Welcome to NAS Watch, where we talk about everything happening in the National Assembly as it concerns you and by extension, the nation. This evening is packed with so much, but we have to begin from somewhere. Now, let's first of all start with the foundation, where it starts on the former governor of Kogi State, who emerged winner under the APC for Kogi Central senatorial seat, a position currently held by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Some say Yahaya Bello is proof that Nigeria rewards corrupt politicians. How did we get here? Well, you might just want to grab a chair. Now, so on May 2nd, former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello picked up the All Progressives Congress nomination form to contest for the Kogi Central senatorial seat in 2027. It is a display of incredible confidence, considering that Bello is currently being prosecuted by the EFCC on 19 counts of money laundering amounting to 80.2 billion. Some say this might just be what you need to know. Well, the APC already holds a commanding majority in the Senate. And then you're wondering, why is it asking for more? With over 72 senators, allowing them to force through legislation against helpless opposition. This has in turn raised concerns among opposition parties, political commentators, and concerned citizens about the risks of Nigeria becoming a one-party state. This is a conversation that I've had on this particular platform several times. Now, those concerns have not slowed the APC, though. A lot of these seats have come from defections of lawmakers from opposition parties in the time since 2023 elections. But with the 2027 just around the corner, they're also looking to win more seats at the polls. One of those seats is for the Kogi Central constituency. Now, the senator currently holding that position is Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Well, she might seem like an obvious candidate to poach, but she has said that she has no intention of joining the APC. And so in 2023, Akpoti-Uduaghan beat APC's candidate Abubakar Sadiku Ohere with 54,074 votes to his 51,291. So this time around, it appears likely the APC is looking to send out, a big lion. Well, in December 2025, Yahaya Bello announced he was accepting calls from party leadership to run against her in 2027. Now he has officially won the primaries for this party. This shows that ongoing 80 billion money laundering case is not a deal breaker for Nigeria's major parties. As long as they believe a candidate can win, they will provide the platform. Now, stay with me. Let me take you through our wall. I'll call it a wall of shame, some sort. Well, Yahaya Bello is not a singular case. He's part of a growing club of politicians recycled straight from the courtroom into the public office. Now, for example, former Abia State Governor, who's currently in the House, in 2019, he was sentenced to 12 years in prison for diverting over 7 billion of public funds during his time as governor. Guess what? 5 months later, the Supreme Court nullified the conviction on a technicality ground, and the sentence him had been promoted before delivering the ruling. That's what it say. That's the only reason Kalu is not in prison today. You might want to, hear that again. Orji Uzor Kalu is a free man today, not because he was suddenly found innocent, but only because the judge who sentenced him had been promoted to the Court of Appeal and was no longer a federal high court judge. Yet, Kalu is currently a serving senator. Let's now go further. How about Basi, Abat Akan? This man was sentenced to 7 years in prison by a federal high court. The court found him guilty of receiving a bribe of 12 cars worth over 200 million from oil marketer during his time as a commissioner for finance in Akwa Ibom State. That's between 2010 and 2014. Now, despite the conviction, in January 2023, Aka managed to secure bail while appealing his case and then contested for Akwa Ibom governorship election. We can go on and on. Even with a 7-year prison sentence hanging over his head, he still managed, to get to a reasonable level in the race. Well, funny, right? Let's keep moving. Now, it is so interesting to let you know that I was thinking that a prison sentence, right? A prison sentence should be a political career-ending move. But in Nigeria, it seems it's just a minor campaign distraction. And before I forget, we should talk about Stella Odua, who settled 2.4 billion fraud case in a plea deal with the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. She agreed, to refund the money she had issues with as minister, and shortly after, well, there are allegations that she was trying to eye a Senate run. Well, it's up to you. The question from me is, what kind of person do you want as your representative? Who should sit for you at the green or the red chamber? That's not for me to answer. That's for you to answer. Now, don't go anywhere. We have a lot packed for you on the show today. The next time you're going to see me, I will be sitting down with Senator Yusuf Abubakar. He's definitely right here. And we have a whole lot to talk about, from what happened at the Senate this week, to all of the drama, and talk about major issues in our country, Nigeria. This is NAS Watch. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. My guest this evening is Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. Let's describe him as a prominent Nigerian economist, a politician who served as a senator representing Taraba Central Senatorial District in the National Assembly from 2015 to 2023. He's joining me, tonight as we need his perspective on a whole lot of things, from Senate standing rules, National Assembly issues, violent primaries, gender inclusion, because he has been very, very outspoken. It's so great to have you, distinguished. How are you doing this evening?
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, I need to ask you, so everybody knows I'm asking you, what's my ram?
I told you where the ram was slaughtered. It was slaughtered in Jalingo, and you are not in Jalingo. There are so many people who would have done great with the ram meat. Not like you.
They've done justice to it.
They've done it on your behalf.
Other constituents.
They've done it on your behalf.
Okay. I mean, it's a pleasure to, be having this conversation with you, because there is so much for us to unpack. Let us first of all start with the very, very important one. And I think we have that clip right here. It's very, very pressing, because finally the demands are being made by terrorists. Now, this was deliberated at the Oyo State House. Let's have that video of the Oyo State House of Assembly, where they were talking about the demands of the terrorists. We have gotten to a point where terrorists are now making demands and telling us what they want. Let's listen to this.
Everything that is necessary for them to bring these children and teachers back. If it was up to you, would you negotiate with terrorists? If terrorists ask for weapons, they ask for money, they ask for concession on future laws of this land as part of their ransom, if you are the governor, would you accept those ransom? Would you accept for those people to be integrated into that community? We don't know the details. So please, let's be sensitive and calm. You do not know the details. The more you negotiate with these people, the more you are going to embolden them. So please.
You heard the speaker there talking.
Yeah.
What I'm sure you must have seen. You saw the updates, and what was the first thing that crossed your mind? Are we going to be listening to them at this point? Yes, we want our children back. We want these teachers back, but are we going to be listening to them?
Well, thank you very much. One of the most important things to observe in all these issues is that is Nigeria, whether the citizens, government, are we ready to forestall this banditry? Are we ready? We are not doing enough. Because until you find what is the cause or what is associated with banditry, you will not be able to solve the problem. So we have not done that. And Nigeria is about 35% unpoliced. So if you have only 65% of this country that is policed, of course the remaining 35% is open. And these people are emboldened not because of anything, because it has become a business. There are state actors, non-state actors that are involved in this thing one way or the other. Therefore, we must be prepared and ready to work so hard between the citizens and government to make sure that everybody's hands is on deck to be able to solve. Who are the informants? The informants are in the town. You know, so if we are not considering that, we may not be able to come to terms with this. Technology. Today, it is the technology that will solve our problem, and intelligence. Our intelligence, I'm sorry to say, is extremely, extremely poor, and there is no technology. Today they are using drones to fight all these things. Are we saying that we do not know where they are? This morning I was listening to, is it on TikTok? You know, a lady interviewing Sheikh Gumi. Sheikh Gumi said the government knows where these people are. The government knows who they are. The government knows where they are.
So is this a matter of the government not just wanting to solve this problem?
The government and the people, because it has become a big business. When you say government, I've always differentiated between government and people in government and people in power.
Please, let's get that differentiation again.
Yeah, the people in the people in power have overwhelmed the people in government. The people in government are the civil servants and, you know, public servants and what have you. They are the people who daily, you know, move one file to the other. But there are some guys behind the scene who will say, no. You know, this is the way it should be done, not the way you want it. Oh, this guy is arrested. No, please soften it. You know, we have so many cases in this country. People in EFCC, they are roaming about everywhere. People in ICPC, I mean, accused they are. So I don't know really, but the fundamental issue is that, you know, until the citizens and the government work together with the people in power and the people in government, we will not be able to solve this problem the way it is going.
Okay, so I am trying very hard to make it as easy as possible for everyone watching us to understand this. We have the people in power and we have the people in government. I believe that you're speaking as someone who has been in power, right? You have been in power.
I was in government.
Well, distinguished, you have been in power.
I was in government. You
weren't moving files. You have been in power.
I was in government.
So it's more like it's more about what do we need to do to push the people in power enough to know, or do we even need to push them? Isn't it basic knowledge to know that your primary duty is to protect lives and properties?
Surely so.
Yes. We know how much we've spent when it comes to funding the military. We know how much we've spent when it comes to different allocations. Let's not even begin to look at the number, you know, the amount, which you're very much aware. So from the layman sitting outside here, Nigeria is spending so much money. And if a person like Shegumi is saying that the government knows where these people are, the question now is this an outright wickedness by the government?
Well, I don't know whether it is wickedness or it's not wickedness, but the fundamental issue is that, we are not doing enough. We are not carrying, this thing in utter responsibility for the protection of lives and property. I think last week I was watching, a clip where I think between 2015 and now, about 4.5 trillion naira has been spent on whether it is budget or whether the amount released to the security is another thing different. But they talk about 4.5 trillion naira. So if after spending this amount of money, and nothing much is being achieved, that means we have to change our strategy. That means the strategy of this kinetic is not working. Spending money on arms and what have you. Remember ECOMOG, Liberia in those days. So we might have exhausted, our arsenals at that time. So we need more arsenals at this point in time, not because the kinetic will solve the problem, but because we have to give confidence in the armed forces that they have instruments to fight with. But personally speaking, military should not even be involved in this issue. It is police. It is an internal issue. So the moment you bring in military, whose responsibility is to defend the integrity of this country, and not the police, I think we have to change our strategy.
Yeah, talking about police, state policing has been a big conversation right now. In fact, even in the midst of all of this happening, or your state and also other parts of the country, we heard the news about the forest guard. We heard the news about implementing the state police. Do you think that we are stepping somewhere right?
I have always opposed the creation of state police.
Why?
Simple. How many standards of police are you going to have in the 37 areas of this country? Borno will have a different standard.
Okay.
Lagos will have a different standard. Bauchi will have a different standard. So there will be different standards. That is point number one. Number two, funding. Are states funding education? Are they funding health? They are not. They are not effectively funding this, and then you want to bring another responsibility. Unless if we are going to do what we call restructuring of the whole system. If we can restructure the whole system, that means the big issues that are responsibility that is tied to federal government should be dissolved. What is going to be effective for the state, let it go there, so that we have enough funding for that. So for me, state police is not the issue. It's not going to solve our problem. Like I said, what will solve our problem is intelligence and technology. So if we do not have intelligence and we do not have technology to fight it, we are not going to solve this problem in any way. I may be pessimistic, but the way I see things are going is going worse. Borno to Yobe, Kaduna, Zamfara, Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, now it's going to Oyo. So we do not know where next will be. Where is our intelligence? Where is the intelligence? If we are spending money, on these issues, how about intelligence? So the banditry or whatever you call it, has become a very, very big business.
So with the coming of this particular demand, before we move on to other areas that we need to touch, with the coming of this demand, how would you expect the Nigerian government, not just your state government now, the Nigerian government, how would you expect them to respond to this?
Well, like I said, they should be able, based on the information they have and based on the technology they have, how they will respond to this thing. They know them.
Okay.
If they don't know them, then I would have said, a different thing altogether. But they know them. they are in a big business together with them. So they should be able, you know, to
Distinguish, when you're saying they know them, that's...
I quoted somebody who said they know them because when they were visiting bandits, Shagumi said he was going with police, with DSS, with army, with right to the people. So they know them. They know why they are so, but they must find what is the source, what has caused this issue that we have today. You know, for instance, let me give you an instance. If I accused you of being a bandit, first of all, what is the psychology? What is your psychology that you are using banditry to kill people, to maim people? What is that psychology? Did we sit down and evaluate and find out why these people are doing these things? There's a difference between causation and associative relationship. Until we differentiate between the two, mere blaming this, blaming that will not solve our problem. Pure and simple. This is my own opinion, and I think, you know, if government will look at it in this light, they should be able, you know, to solve the problem.
What's your, I mean, in 1 minute, what's your stance on the repentant Boko Haram movement?
Well, my own position on that, you say somebody has repented. Is it really
are you
repentance?
For it or against it?
No, if somebody, you know, repents, you know, accommodate him and give him a better training so that he can be useful for this country, so that he can also give you information on how to attack, how to reduce, you know, such issues. If I repent, even God, if you repent to God, God forgives you.
But we're talking about two different things. These are people who have caused harm to the country.
I agree. If, you know, if they say somebody has repented, my understanding is that the person that has repented may not have been actually found, you know, direct guilt. Because if you find me guilty, the law says you should prosecute me. So prosecute me if you find me guilty. But if you catch me somewhere and you think that I'm associated with the bandit, and therefore you say I've said I have repented, of course. But if you get me, arrest me, prosecute me, I am all for prosecution. Let them arrest, prosecute them with intelligence, with good technology, with understanding. So if somebody has repented and then you accept that he has repented, it is on the basis of the fact that you may not have enough evidence to prosecute him.
All right. Well, we're going to move away from that very quickly, and because we have a lot of places to touch. Now, the party primaries is where we're moving on next. It has been a whole lot. I mean, this week at the House, we had the Senate president talking about how those who had issues like lost tickets, who lost their primaries, we're going to find ways to compensate it. They're working on that. Well, a lot of Nigerians did not receive that statement very well. But before I get your perspective on that, I want to say this. You have been very vocal when it comes to issues that might arise with the APC. And in one of your interviews, you did say that, and I would quote you now, you said, "I would want to say APC will win the 2027 presidential election, not because the government of Asiwaju has performed, but because there is no opposition." That's what you said. And I would want you to expand on that, while also connecting it to what is recently happening and the implosion that you have always talked about. So let's start with this first part, that quote that you've made. Let's start from there.
Well, fine. I'm still, you know, on that issue. You know, there is so much concern in this country about how the government is performing. You know, so, and there is so much bitterness in this country. We have about, is it 67 or 70% of our population are youth. Youth are very, very warm and hot-blooded. They are ready to explode. That is why every little thing you find people, you know, losing their patience. So if it is performance, the level of performance that the government of Asiwaju has done is not good enough to warrant an election in 2027. However,
Okay.
we do not have alternative to Asiwaju. In the opposition, we don't have. Who are the alternative? If there's an alternative as individuals, there is no an alternative platform. And you cannot contest if you do not have a platform. Up till now, we are trying to find what is the legal status of ADC, the legal status of NDC, the legal status of other political parties, or PDP. PDP is even divided into two. In my state, we have governor who is arising from Wike side, and we have another who is arising from Turaki side. So that is why, if you do not have a formidable, opposition, I don't think, it's fair to accomplish Asiwaju is going to win this election.
Do you think that now is the time for us to start considering going for candidates, not necessarily about a party? Is it time for us to start considering the stand of, well, let's start looking at people based on they come in as individuals and their team, than saying you must belong to a party, if this whole party thing isn't working?
That is why I say the system has shot itself on the foot. When we were in the Senate, we wanted to have an independent candidature. But APC then was a member of APC.
So your party at the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
It objected to inclusion of independent candidature in the constitution of Nigeria. I don't see any reason why. Why not? Why not? So if you do not have an independent candidate, of course you have what we call party supremacy, and then you'll have a lot of impunity, and that is what we are experiencing now. Irrespective of any political party, what has happened in APC is what is happening in ADC, is happening in NDC, what is happening in other political parties. Impunity, impunity, impunity. Up till now, if you say, okay, let us not talk about platform, let us talk about individuals. Okay, so now how will the individual perform if the platform does not give him room to perform? We have APC today, APC as a political party. So we have renewed hope, and then we have governors on one side. There's so much money that His Excellency, the President of this country, has pumped into states. We have not seen it. We have not seen the impact of the money he has pumped to the states. So what is happening? So that means the platform has not given us the room for even the individuals to perform.
So I think for the aspect of the state, well, for some states that are, I would say, we'll give credit to some states that are actually performing and using the funds given to them judiciously. For other states, I think that it's now left for the system to hold them accountable and judge what they are doing with the funds disbursed.
Which state?
The system.
Which state?
Well, I'm doing the questioning.
because the point I'm saying, the people of this country have not seen the performance of the state to the extent that they have provided, the dividend of democracy as well. So that's why the people are bitter. So much money has been have been borrowed, and then so much money has been allocated, and yet we have not seen it. For instance, I give you an example. Every governor that's on the road with the number of vehicles and what have you, it's like you have 1 billion naira on the road each time governors are moving. If you have 36 governors, it's like if they are all moving in one day, you have about 36 billion naira moving in one day. So that's why I say there are issues that even Mr. President, I've actually long ago suggested to him, we need what we call consultative and cooperative federalism. It's not happening today. The National Economic Council, headed by the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I don't know how is the relationship with the states. I don't know how the governors, come in, sit down in National Economic Council, and then sit down to see how are they cooperative with what federal government is doing, and how are they consulting with one another, and even whether it is vertical or horizontal. I don't see it happening. So we have a very big communication gap. So that is why, in my own opinion, things are not going according to the model of development chosen by the government of, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. All
right, distinguished. Now, you've mentioned money borrowed, but before we touch on that, I would want us to still go back to party primaries as it relates to what we're talking about at the beginning. Now, a couple of persons who, there's this slogan that lots of Nigerians believe that once you join the APC, your sins are forgiven. But then again, it's beyond just your sins being forgiven, but it's a matter of once you join the APC, you're in the ruling party, and so everything's going to work out fine for you. But some persons did not get to experience that jollification, I would put it in our own way, that comes out from the we saw a lot of persons not returning. They didn't get the ticket, they didn't win their primaries, and even a lot of senators and House of Reps members did not get a ticket. Some of them also belong to the APC, and I'm very glad I'm having this talk with you because you've spoken very openly about implosions. Is this the beginning of these implosions? Because for the Senate President to say that they are working on ways to see how that can be addressed.
You see, surely so, because if you have a document, the kind of electoral act that we have, which has given room for party to be to do whatever they want, are not in certain instances, parties are not going to be dictated by INEC. There are so many differences between the Electoral Act of 2026 and the Electoral Act of 2022.
Yeah.
There were so many controls that were done. So now the 2026 Electoral Act is already a foregone conclusion that a particular political party is going to win this election. It's a foregone. So now, if, as we have seen, the national chairman of APC said that they should not announce result of candidates in the states or where the elections have taken place, that all results will now be forwarded to the headquarters of the APC, and then they will now announce the result. Now, do we know what is happening there? So, and when you remove delegate system and then allow only consensus and direct primaries, we all know if you are going to do direct primaries, you must going to put a lot of controls on how this direct primaries is going to take place. There's a lot of outcry in the whole of this country that there was no primaries that was effectively or efficiently done. So whether it's APC, whether it's ADC, whether it's whatever. So it is emanated from the kind of electoral act that we have. A lot of personal interests have been put in the kind of electoral act that we have, which shouldn't have been. So there will be a lot of implosions, a lot of it, because one, you have governors of one political party moving to APC. Okay, now you have the legacy members of APC.
Yeah.
What do you do with them? If the new governor is coming and he's coming with one team from another political party, and he's saying that, look, and the party said, you are the governor, you are everything in that state, and therefore you decide, whoever you want, however you want to run things. So for me, now what do we do with the legacy members? Take my state, for instance. What do we do with the legacy members? We have a lot of political liability hanging on the stakeholders of APC in Taraba, for instance, because these people have not seen, they have not been considered, in one way or the other. So for me, this will bring in a lot of implosions. you say, okay, a governor probably will bring in either senators, or they will bring in, you know, members House of Representatives, you know, maybe they are coming from the party of the governor. And then how about the legacy members who also want to contest? What do you do with them? So if you have not given them room to do anything, they move to another political party. I give you an example. The former Deputy Senate President, Omar Gege, when they could not give him in APC, he moved to another political party, and he is a force to be reckoned with. I'm happy the chairman, the national chairman, said they are going to create a committee to reconcile. I hope and pray that the reconciliation will be a genuine reconciliation.
All right.
And not reconciliation based on religion or reconciliation based on ethnicity, but it should be reconciliation based on politics.
All right, we're going to keep our fingers crossed and see how that pans out. And I mean, all of these issues that you've raised. We still have something, we try to beat our time, but you see, have a couple of things to talk about. Now, something happened in the House, part of the things that happened in the House, the missing firearms, and we also, so we are trying to see, okay, the missing firearms versus the conversation of creating the malaria the malaria bill that got to third reading, and of course the creation of a malaria agency, so National Agency for Malaria Elimination. And this particular bill was you know, sponsored by Senator Ned Woko, Delta North, and people we have in that committee, Senate Committee on Health, chaired by Senator Ipalibo Banigo. Now, when I was talking to you, I did mention to you, okay, we're talking about, let's bring it now to the Orasaye report, where we're saying, okay, it seeks to rationalize and reduce the number of departments and agencies of government. Now we are having the third reading of a bill that is talking about creating another agency. Well, at the same time, we're also saying we don't have enough money in Nigeria to fund. I mean, the ones we already have, we're not even taking care of them very well. Yet we want to have, yes, we know malaria is, but where do you stand in all of this?
Well, thank you very much. You see, the Orasaye report, I think it's since the time of Obasanjo, if I remember very well.
Yes.
You know, there's a difference between restructuring civil service or public service and the rationalizing. So as far as I'm concerned, if we rationalize very well, we may even need more establishment to be, I mean, more institutions to be established. It is matter of rationalization. You know, there are so many institutions that are virtually doing the same thing. So those ones, you can merge them and then rationalize them. But because of kind of politics that we play with civil service, with public service, you know, we find it very, very difficult to implement the Orasaye report. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't do that. If we rationalize, we may need this malaria, you know, institution that is coming up. It's a matter of rationalization, as far as I'm concerned. When I was in the Senate, I tried to do what we call coffee tea.
Coffee tea,
you know, coffee tea. But I was told that, you know, no, we do not need coffee and tea, you know, commission, because we have Sugar Development Council. So they should be merged. You know, so, but as far as I'm concerned, there are two different institutions trying to do two different things. What we wanted about coffee was because we want to tap into the International Coffee Organization funds, so that, you know, it can be brought into Nigeria so that we can develop, you know, our coffee. So, but that is by the way, as far as I'm concerned, there is no time that you will say we have enough institutions. It depends on how you rationalize it, you know, how you need it, how you want to implement it.
Okay, so yes, when it comes to need, you might want to say, oh, an agency for malaria elimination is important, but do we have the money to fund it?
Fine, we have. Who say we don't have money in this country? We have. We have money in this country. You see, Nigeria is one country where the poor is subsidizing the rich. And it shouldn't be. It is the rich that should subsidize the poor. So long as the poor is subsidizing the rich, we will seem to have that we do not have money. We have so many luxuries we need to tax in this country. So many luxuries. Why are they not taxed? So many properties to tax. You know, let the rich people bear the brunt of the luxuries they enjoy. If I have a vehicle that I bought for 200, 300 million naira, I should pay for that luxury. If I have a house, you know, that I have spent, you know, 2 billion, 3 billion to construct, I should pay for that luxury. Okay? So whatever we have, let the rich bear the brunt of the luxury. They are the people enjoying the road. Why we do not have a good road? Probably because the people enjoying the luxury are not paying. You know, how when you look at our dresses in this country, our shoes, our wristwatches, our earrings, and what have you, you know, all these ones, you know, they are luxuries. You know, we are spending money on things that we can be able to produce in this country, which we are not producing.
Distinguished, you've mentioned a number of things that I wish we had enough time to touch on. You've mentioned tax, and you know, the tax is still one area that lots of Nigerians are still grumbling about, even though some might, experts might say, oh, it was actually fair enough. The low-income earners don't have to pay so much. The high earners are going to pay a lot. But I know that when you mention, you know, taxing the rich, there is an angle that you're coming from. But maybe another time we would still sit down to have this very conversation extensively, because I still want to hear your thoughts. But before we run out of here, let's talk about in just few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, you know, money borrowed. We have seen that the 10th Assembly has, you know, granted the president every request he has made in terms of borrowings, and Nigerians are not happy about that. This is a house that you were before. How would you describe the 10th Senate right now? Not about what I say, but about, from your perspective, from someone outside who has been there, how would you describe the 10th Assembly? Is it truly rubber stamp, as many Nigerians say?
Well, like I've also said during our own time, you see, the Senate and the House of Representatives are not voted to come and confront the executive. They are come to work together with the executive. However, these are representatives of the people. They must align what they do with the thoughts of the people. So, but my own take on this, I think the 10th Assembly are not linking well with their constituencies, so that they can be able to do what they should be able to do, you know, in the House.
Are they even linking at all?
That is why I said, in my own opinion, I don't think they are linking enough. Because one, insecurity is all over. You know, many of them, you know, cannot even go home for one reason or the other. So, and for that reason is that, you know, there is a disjoint, or there is a miscommunication between the senators, the members' House of Representatives, together with the constituents. So until we can have a good rapport, a good understanding, we may not be able to appreciate, you know, what the Senate is doing. But Senate is not created to antagonize Mr. President.
But aren't they at least supposed to question his moves and demand answers and let him present
there are certainly
reasonable reasons as to why they should be approved?
There are certainly, you see, once something is presented to the Senate, you know, so there should be a lot of debate. But that debate too, I've not seen it, to be honest. You know, I've not seen kind of, you know, kind of debate in terms of, you know, how things, you know, how bills will be discussed, and I've not seen so many what do you call it, you know, engaging the public in analyzing all these issues. So I think, for me, you know, the 10th Assembly need to do more, much more, to convince the Nigerian people that they are for the common man and not for Mr. President.
All right, I think that we've had a very extensive conversation. I wish we had more time, but I still, a lot of things I still want to hold you for, which I still need your thoughts on. Questions like how would you rate the current Taraba Central Senatorial District Senator?
My senator is doing well.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
Why I said is doing well, look, I gave you an example. I said
30 seconds, distinguished.
I said, okay, I said platform and a personality.
Okay.
If you have a personality with a system that does not allow him to work, then you will not blame the personality.
All right, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for, joining us on the conversation this beautiful evening. And I'm sure that the audience have gotten a thing or two from today, the activities, and we'll keep our fingers crossed to watch to see how event unfolds in the coming weeks to come. Thank you so much, distinguished.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Yeah.
All right, that's Nas Watch for this week. And of course, everything you need to know about the National Assembly, how it works for you, we will definitely be here to tell you. My name is Cynthia Agbo. Do not forget that a repeat of the program will come to you on Sunday at same time, 7 p.m. You can follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, everywhere. We're right there. I will see you next week, Friday. My name is Cynthia Agbo. Do have yourself a beautiful evening.